Yes, guys. Welcome back to another stream. Sorry for the delay, man. I had to go make myself a drink. It's absolutely roasting. Like, rare, like good weather. You know what I mean? And we're not built for this in England, mate. We're not built for this at all. So big up to everybody in the building, man. Make sure you guys are smashing up the likes. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well if you're new. You might remember last week we did a stream with 1894. And the trade union blues talking about the ticket situation, and we got loads of good feedback from it. And we've got another stream tonight talking about similar stuff and similar lines. So big up to everyone for coming on the show, because I'm actually genuinely buzzing doing these, because a lot of my audience isn't from the UK, so they don't really fully understand what's going on. But they're always asking about like what's going on with the ticket stuff, and they want to know. So it's good that people come on and actually give their say. Listen, we're going to start off with Gaynor, who's going to tell us like what's going on with your story, and then we can just sort of like mash it up as we go around the panel.
I've two of my grandchildren. Well, there's more actually, but the two that come to the games with me, Jack's 14, and then I've got Jessica, who's 9. And Jessica's really getting into it. She likes the men's football, but she can't always get to the game because she can't always get her a ticket, and she's never going to have the chance to get a season ticket. Whereas my dad took me when I was a kid with my brothers, and we had season tickets for years, and everything was just so, it was just the norm. You just went with your dad, and that was it. So I wanted to do the same with my grandkids, but the way things are going, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, you know what? Sad, right? I seen a story on Twitter. I think it was a guy called Neil, and he said he's got a season ticket with his son, and he took his daughter to the Salford game. And after the Salford game, his daughter asked to get us she wanted to go with him because he's got season tickets. She said, "Oh, can I start coming with you? Like, I want to go with your dad and brother." And he had to say to her, "Nah, like, sorry, but I can't take you because they don't do them anymore, man." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, it's just, I don't know what's going on here. It seems like a real sort of.
We're just losing the next generation. I mean, at first I thought, yeah, it's great they're doing it. Is it 18 to 25s they do, don't they? There's a group, so many of them tickets go to them. And then it's like, obviously, you've got your tourists that are coming and that, which is great, you know. But where I am, and Dante will probably back me up on this, in the South Stand, it's really loud. It's great. It's the people around me. Most of the people are regulars, so they're always there. So you get used to it, and the volume's loud, and you know. But it's just unfair that the kids are not going to get the chance in the future.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's crazy. I was thinking back to my first season ticket at City. It was 40 quid. My first season ticket. And yeah, well, I'm 30, so it was only like 16 years ago, or something like that. You know what I mean? Or 17
years on you. Yeah, I had paper tickets. Yeah,
that ticket for Villa the other day for an adult was 70, and I was like, that's one ticket for an adult the other day for Villa was more expensive than my whole season ticket was. And like, you know what I mean? It was only 15, 16 years ago that was the case. And like, you know what it was back then? It was like, you felt, and I used to go on my own with my mate, like two 13, 14-year-olds. Like, we used to go together, and my dad didn't come, but we just went with that. But it felt like an environment where they wanted to bring younger fans, and they wanted to bring people.
As well.
And then I had season ticket for like 12, 13 years then. So they had me for life then. But it seems... Now I'm looking at it, and it seems a completely different environment. Whereas back in the day, they wanted people to come and they wanted to stick with the fan. And now it's just like they don't seem to be very open to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think there's the same communication anymore. Anyway, I mean, it's so different. I mean, you see the old guys, don't you? The old players and the dead. You know, like they'll stand and have the photographs up here and that, and they talk about the club. But I want my granddaughter to be able to go and do that with the generation of the players now in years come, and I don't think it's ever going to get that way because they're protected, they're in a bubble. But for even her to say, like, I can go to regular games with my nana, and, you know, she's got the City shirts and everything. In fact, she said to me before, because I'm taking her on Friday, I'll be at your house for 5 o'clock so I can get my kit on. So she's, like, really looking forward to going, you know, and there's plenty of kids there, it's great, but we're not made of money. We can't afford. The club are rich. We're not rich. You know, a lot of us. I'm fortunate that I can get a season ticket, and I've had mine for over 10 years. This last one, I had one from being the age of 10 at Main Road when I was a kid with my brothers. And then, obviously, a woman, I had children. I didn't go to the match, and I was working. And then the 3 o'clock kickoffs changed, and it went more flexi. So I thought, right, great, I got my season ticket, and I thought that was it. Then everybody would be able to get one, but it's just dire. I just don't understand it. And this, how many games you need to go to as well. That was one thing that worried me because I have disabilities. Can't always make a night game. So I dropped out of the Champions League and the League Cup for that reason, because I can't always make a night game, depending on how I am. I mean, it could be a last minute thing and I could decide, I'm not well enough to go. But I just don't understand. You try to mix with the club and converse, and you want to bring the kids, and you think, yeah, let's fill the stadium. I mean, we're not called the Empty Ad for nothing, We need to get new generations in and keep it going.
But you know what, right? And obviously, I'm not diving into your specific situation, but I've seen a lot of people speak about like you've got to go to this amount of games, otherwise you can lose it or whatever. Like, is there any sort of like FAQs that they put out to say, well, what about if you're pregnant? What about if you do have a disability? What about if you're ill? Like, well, like what's going on here? Or is it just a blanket? Have they done anything?
I'll come in here. I'll come in here. I have. It's a bit unclear at the minute, LB, what's actually happening. I saw something on the Disabled Support Association Twitter feed that was saying the club, if you ring up the club, which could take about 3 hours to get through, and sort of make your case, they might look at individual cases. So I mean, the thing is, this really should have been sorted out probably at the time. Part of this is we've had about 10 days of what the fuck's going on. Am I going to be able to, modern life, the way normally 10 games a season, that shouldn't be a problem. But it's the fact that if you lose your season, you'll never get one ever again. That's part of people's concerns. And, sometimes if you've got a family, you want to share with your family, you might not be able to do that as well as often this season. With Gaynor, I mean, she was, all of these guys here are in 894, and Gaynor's season ticket, the other three are flexis, and they've got different stories to tell. I mean, Gaynor's got a kind of a situation where she might not be able to meet the 6-hour criteria simply because of her own condition. Maybe you could just go into a little bit more detail on that, but it could really penalise you. And obviously, the concern is obviously at a time where there's no new season tickets being made available at this moment in time. The capacity is increasing like by 8,000. If they're not going to do it now, when are they ever going to do it? It's going to be like never sort of thing. So, there are some people able to upgrade from flexi, but they're not new. The club always said they're kind of season tickets anyway. And the amount of people that drop away from the season ticket pool every summer, it outweighs the number of people that are able to move up, because people didn't know that you could do it on 16. It's look if you've attended 16 on a flexi so far this season. So I mean, Gaynor, you were telling me last night about your condition, and that can be like you don't know whether you can make it on. So just to explain why that is, because the thing about these FAQs is we might be a list of if you're pregnant you break a leg, but there's so many other conditions that you just don't know about, and we need like a bit of fact really.
Sorry, Dante. My condition's an invisible condition. I have fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And just recently, I've had to start using my walking stick to go to games and to get about, just basically because I need it in case I just fall over or, something happens. It's there for a reason, for my support. But the club do know that I have disabilities, because they've give me provision to use on my blue badge. I can use the disabled parking. So they did email me on, I missed one game. I can't remember which one it is. My memory's shot. And they said, you didn't turn up, and they give me this spout about you've got to attend so many games. So I just emailed them back and said, look, due to my condition, I was unable to go, and it was a last minute thing. It wasn't even time to give the ticket to anybody else or transfer it. So it's not always, I mean, if I had a broken leg or I was in a wheelchair, it's obvious. But because my disability isn't obvious, then it's hard to convince people that, I need to have these things in place. So if I can't make a game, that's my ticket gone. And then could the club penalise me because I'm disabled, which is discrimination, really.
Yeah, no, it's very strange, and I see people. Big up to Briggsy in the chat. He was on a show recently with I think it was on with you, Danny, actually, if I remember correctly, and Martin there as well. And Martin's saying, "Hey, the club have to realise fans have had enough." And fans just want that good connection with the club. You know what I mean? And I've spoken to Dante before on messages, and it's not like they're asking for the world. The fans just want that good connection for a little bit of, I don't know what the word is really. Just having a decent relationship.
Isn't it? We want our city back. I mean, we joked years ago, back to Division 2 and all these things. But to be fair, they were the good times. It's nice to have the money to get all these players in, and it's nice that you've got overseas clubs and fan clubs, that are following City. But it's your average everyday Manchester supporter, that's coming to the games, and I've heard so many people saying, "This is my last season. I'm not renewing." And it makes you feel a bit like, oh God, well, I'm not going to know anyone. What if everybody decides they're not coming anymore? I'm going to be there. I'm not going to have the camaraderie with people, no banter, no singing. I don't want to be singing and somebody looking at me as if I'm mental,
We're doing it for everybody. Obviously, we know we've got nationwide fan base, and we've got international fan base as well that will come over for maybe less games and stuff as well. But they also want to be treated all right, good communication from the club, and they want a good atmosphere when they come into the stadium as well. So the thing is, it's just about the fairness and the communication, and people's lives are. It's different. I used to go and it was like 3 o'clock kickoff every Saturday, and you go there at 2:30, you go home at 5:30. It wouldn't be there's issues. It's like people can't get a tram, so you're walking for half an hour, you're driving, you're in the car park for an hour. There's a lot of things that are not easy to get to from the game, especially when the co-ops are at the same time. So we're doing it for everyone. We've got support from the overseas supporters as well. There is no them and us. If you're a proper fan, what we don't really like is some idiot with like a selfie stick or just like wearing an Arsenal kit in the city end and this sort of thing. You could be from anywhere. You could be from like Hale Barnes, and you could be like a Sale Sharks rugby fan, and you never even gone to a game, and you've got a family full of United fans or something, and they'd be like, "Well, you're in the Tunnel Club," and you're like, well, "What are you doing there?" That to us is somebody that is taking the seat of somebody that could be getting behind the team. You know what I mean? It's not nationality. It's more like, are we attracting the people that are really going to get behind the team? We've seen last night Arsenal. They did what we've been doing. Let's price people out. They kind of scrap the ballot. They scrap the normal criteria, and it was dead. And it cost them advantage in the. So you could say it might cost them the European Cup by putting short-term money decisions first, and we've had that as well. Stories in our group here, like Ellie, Ellie and Beth they joined us about 1.5 years ago. Help with all the displays. It's like raining, snowing, 6 in the morning, 6 hours before a game, 10 o'clock in the morning. So they're always there. They're out leafleting and this sort of thing. And they're from a family where there's 3 of them. They'd like to get season tickets all together. One of them's managed to get up. The brother who's not here tonight, but he's going to university in Cambridge. Very intelligent, but he probably will now lose his season ticket next year. He won't be able to go to the games. And you've got a couple of guys there who, if they'd have known that it was going to be 16 games, they might have been able to swap shifts and get tickets, but they're not going to get it. So this is kind of the unfairness. Keon has managed to get a season ticket upgrade because he's been going to all the games. I know he used to tell me it's very hard because if you miss that 3 window, the 3 weeks beforehand, you've got to get everything right, make sure your cards are up-to-date details. There's a lot of hassle, and you've had to pay uneven amounts as you go along. So I would just let the guys maybe have their talk about what it is, because what we're doing on Friday is really we're trying to look out for everybody, not just if you've got a season ticket now, great, but these guys would all like season tickets and they can't always get them. So we're doing it for everybody, because if they jacked it in, they'd be absolutely, the crowds would be even lower. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Karl, can I come to you quickly before we come to Ellie and Bess, if that's all right? Can you explain what ticket you have and explain it to me? Because I still don't fully understand what it is. It sounds pretty complicated to me, just so the chat know exactly what it is.
Yeah, so right now I've had a flexi gold season ticket where you pay for each game, you have a 3-week window. If you don't pay by that window, you can let it back go to the club and they'll put it back on the website to be sold for. So I've been sat in 308 East Stand, which is where most of the flexi gold season tickets are. What I've noticed this season though is that because flexi gold season ticket, what they won't tell you is, even though it may seem cheaper, it kind of isn't in the long run, and there's still a load of empty seats in East Stand because people, you know, for me, if you take away the season tickets, take away all that, it's the prices that are the biggest problem. We all know that, and the season tickets are a big problem, but it's the prices. I gulp at the prices nowadays, and I shouldn't, but we do. We know football is a money-dominated game nowadays, and it's sad to see, but that's the world we live in. You know, players love money, but end of the day, us fans, like Gaynor said, we're not rich. We've not won the lottery. We don't get $1 million every week. So end of the day, make it affordable for us, because match ticket, beers, whatever, food, whatever, it all adds up. So it's not only 40 quid for a ticket, you're talking probably 100, 200 quid for a match day. So it's adding up, man. So that's what worries me a lot. But yeah, the Flex Goal season ticket, basically, you pay every game. If you don't want it, you leave it through the window. They take it back to the club. You leave it as that. I have thankfully attended 16 plus, which again allows me now to get a season ticket, which is brilliant. But like I said, it's unfair because, you know, why should we weren't told this at the start of Let's Go, by the way, that we've got to attend 16 games. Not one message was told of that. So we've just got to know, you know what I mean? Jobs, you know, pregnancies, like you said, people, marriages. We don't know what the future holds. No one knows what's around the corner, and this is what City's got to understand. Right now, we're all a number to City. They don't care about us. We're another number, and they'll just throw us away, and that's what we don't like.
I agree.
So you have to pay a fee at the start of the season for that as well?
Yes. Yeah. So 150 quid, you can either pay it in installments, 15 quid each month, or you can pay 150 quid.
And
so
what does that get you?
nothing. Honestly, guys, you know, honestly, it's 150 quid, and then you're paying for your match. They think of it as like, because you know, if you play for the smaller games, like it was 15 quid to go watch Southampton or stuff like that. You know what I mean? It goes up in brackets. So the 150 quid, you kind of think, well, it's not a cheaper season ticket because we're paying 150 quid more. So you add that onto the games that you're paying, and it just works out maybe a bit more expensive, a bit more. What's the point of a flexi gold? You know what I mean? So
sorry. Can I just, because again, I don't really put it, because I don't think this was a thing when I went. So what's the difference between that then and just buying one of those 35 quid match day memberships and just buying a match day ticket? What's the difference? Is it you getting a reduced price or something, or what? I don't get the difference.
So like I said, you get a reduced price on certain games. So the smaller games, of course, cheaper. Going to the bigger games, expensive. But they're all in brackets, of course. But at the end of the day, I mean, the prices individually are awful. You know, God's sick, and you know, I don't like looking at them because they're awful to look at. Matchday membership, you know, there is a bit of a difference. Flexi Gold, maybe it's more better to get Flexi Gold, but still, though, you know, if they're telling us like information that we don't know at the start, and they're kind of like, you know. They're doing what City are doing is like they're forcing a lot upon us very quickly. Like, you've got to do that within 2 days or you're off it. You've got to do that within a day or you're off it. There's no like, we have a bit of leeway.
Yeah, the main you get this. You can't, if you work it out in advance and you're on the ball and you apply 3 weeks beforehand, you can get the same seat each game. You see what I mean? So sometimes if you're a membership and it goes to membership, you might not get the same seat each time. But with Flexi, potentially you can get the same seat, even though you don't own it. If the club owns it.
So you're not even guaranteed the same seat? I thought you was
if you get it,
if
you can get the. You know, there's a way that you can get it together. If you get, like I say, Keelan's up there in 308. The whole point was that it was to try and stop the empty seats. But it doesn't stop the empty seats, because basically if they're charging, you know, 88 quid for a game against Villa or whatever, and that's your individual, you know, that's your charge for that game, that's particularly then setting that price artificially high. Then they make all the other match day prices that same price, because then when the tickets are go back on the market, they can't shift them because they're too artificially high. You see what I mean? So I think it's fueling the problem with the other club, as far as I know, that has this scheme. I mean, and if they're trying to bridge the gap between Flexi Goals down there, season tickets there, now they're making it a bit closer. What's the point? Why not just get rid of it completely and have no season ticket? You know, for us, we think it's, if you're on Flexi Gold, everybody should have the choice, not just, oh, you've done 16 games. I mean, you know, if you've got a normal season ticket, you can renew after 14 games. So why are we using next year's attendance criteria to see if you can upgrade now? I mean, there'll be people who've done 14 on Flexi that can't upgrade. There might be people who've 14 games, bought them in the window, maybe bought one more than 3 weeks, still, you know, not got a season ticket. You know, in 16 buying them at different times, and maybe they can't get an upgrade. You know what I mean? And it maybe depends on who you get to on the phone in the ticket office.
Right. Okay.
Need to pretty really.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, it just seems a little bit like strange because, like I said, other than City, I've not heard of the fan base that's got this.
They tickets go back to the club. They can then put them tickets on sale. So if we're thinking there's tickets going to resellers, there's empty seats, people priced out of it. Goals fueling that. You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons it's fueling that. Because if a season ticket doesn't go to the game as well, that also ends up back in that pile where it's 71 to 88 quid, etc. And it's going to be the same price as next season, isn't it? You know what I mean? So, you know, it's not necessarily going to be. Well, we don't think it's the answer anyway, and we think the club want to do that rather than issue normal season tickets.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because then if you don't buy it, say Keon doesn't go, they've got that then to flog at 71 quid, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas if Keon had an actual legit season ticket, then just give it your mate, couldn't you? Or sell it for face value, whatever.
I think they've now let it work. Before you couldn't do ticket transfer on Flexi, and now I think they've let it do for like 3 games a season. But I mean, again, the way that kickoff times are, and we don't even know we don't have the Bournemouth game confirmed yet. What day it is yet? Even now, do we? We don't know with its rescheduled again. So I mean, how can people? You can't make plans.
Yeah, no, it's still not confirmed because I had someone in my chat yesterday saying they've booked flights already and hotel, and it's still not even been confirmed yet. So yeah, it's pretty mad, really. But yeah, Keon, anything else on your story? Like on your...
So right now I've got 2 brothers. I've got a little brother that loves coming to games, but again, sometimes I get the same situation like Gaynor said. Sometimes he might ask, and you know what I mean. I say, well, they only allow us 1 per ticket. Sometimes I allowed 3 more, but he's only 16, and then I look at the price and I think, how much is it? 40 quid. And he's not on the season ticket ladder, of course. So what I want to know, what 16-year-old is earning 40 quid enough to put out 40 quid for a game? Not many. You know what I mean? For me, right now, what I fear for is this is probably going to get worse if we don't do what we're doing now. We need to keep speaking up, of course we do, but it's going to take a lot more people to speak up. I fear what the future may hold with this new stand. No season tickets, but a new stand being built in this hotel. What is our club becoming? Is it a business now? Like I said, there's a lot of fears, and potentially if I have kids in the future, what's this club going to be like? You know what I mean? So I fear that this is just becoming much of a business rather than a football club that we all love and adore. We love and adore it, but do our club love and adore us? That's what we've got to now ask.
And there's still nothing on that wall, no.
I think the hotel and all that sort of thing. I mean, that is business. I mean, that is we don't begrudge the club making money if you like, but if they make record profits, then share the wealth back with the fans. That's what I'm saying. Want to be the number one at everything we do, but we think the way to do that is obviously to have full attendance in the stadium. And the first thing we should be doing, rather than like pricing people out, is getting the price points right, getting some reduction on prices, and then once it's full, people are spending money. If we get a price ticket reduction, you think, yeah, I've got one over on the man. You buy a couple more drinks, you end up making more money because the prices are cheaper. Do you know what I mean? So that's it. It's like a false economy. So I don't begrudge anyone getting $500,000 a week wages. I don't begrudge, the club having a hotel and having some, some kind of, tourism in football tourism into the stadium, but not at the expense of everything. Not at the expense of our culture, football culture, identity of the club, the atmosphere. Not at the expense of everything. You see what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
I agree. I would like to be a part of it. I don't want to be left out. I don't want to get to an age and they go, right, well, that's it. We're going to move you, and if you don't want to move, then you're stuck. I don't know how they're going to do this, but it's just, I think it's just the way the football's going at the minute. They're just pricing us all out. Like Wembley, I don't agree with the semi-finals being at Wembley, but that's another story. But that again, it's the stadium and the FA making money. They've got to pay for the stadium somehow. But families can't afford to go for a semi-final and a final. Some might not even be able to afford any of them. And it's this thing, it's like, then the fans get criticised, that we're not turning up and everywhere's empty. But nobody can possibly afford all that money. It's a lot. We love our club. We want it to be successful. We want it to succeed. But we want to be a part of it as well. We don't want to be just a sideline to fill the ground up.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, that's why we jumped on, sorry to interrupt, one last thing. Obviously, we only took about 25,000 to Wembley. But, Pep obviously stuck up with the fans on that basis. And that's why really we did the letter to him. Really was a nudge to Soriano, because if you read the letter, it's not calling out Pep, it's calling out, his mates. It's saying like, you're saying there, you understand why not everyone can get down to Wembley. Because it's the 30th trip in like 13 years, you see what I mean? To win the cup, we're going to be there. Field in August, it'd be 3 trips again in a few months. But so we're saying cheers for speaking up to us. But have a word with your mate, Pep. Just speak to your mate and let him sort out the tickets as well, because we've got the same situation there. And the media's carried it all around the world. New York Times, China, Australia, America, all over the place. And so this is it. We think the news only affects us in England. It doesn't. City is worldwide. And the fans have power here. The fans have a campaign going, and it is starting to get some results. And it's the only language they understand. So, that is, by 6 minutes on Friday, that again puts a bit of pressure on the club. And don't forget, if the turn round early on Friday morning and say, hey, we're going to make 3,000-4,000 season tickets available, I think most people turn around and say, okay, fine, the club have listened, we'll call it off. But, you can't be sure. So the fans are ready to go ahead with this. And I know, Gaynor, you're even going to go ahead and do it as well, which is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and again, just going back to the that blue wall thing, again, like obviously in an ideal world, it would be great to have 8,000 season ticket holders in that. But I don't think anyone's really like demanding that, though, guys. You know what I mean? Like, I think people know that you're not going to get that. But as far as I'm aware, there's still been none announced in that 8,000 blue wall. No, correct me if I'm wrong. So it's like I don't think there's just for people again. Yeah, just quickly, just for people, just quickly, bro, just quickly, for the people watching. The demands or the what people are asking. No one's asking for anything crazy here. No one's asking for 54,000 Mancunians from within a mile of the Etihad, all on season ticket holders at £10 a pop. That's not what's being asked. Dan just said it himself. Don't begrudge anyone getting paid money. No one begrudges that. Pay the players the best wages so we can get the best players. But it's a balance. And the balance has gone way too much in one direction. And it just needs to come back, bring it back. The club can make money. They'll make a lot of money. Trust me, they're going to make a lot of money. But the fans are also not going to be shafted. And at the moment, fans are feeling like they're getting shafted. Is that right? You guys think I've done a good job there?
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. All right, Keon, anything else to add for you before we get Ellie and Bess's?
No, not much really. No, not much.
No? All right. Okay, cool. Well, Ellie, Bess, what's your guys' story? Dante sort of spoke about it a little bit before, but go on. Who's starting us?
Our story is a bit different.
Yeah, 1 second. I can't hear you properly. Let me just have a look at your mic settings. Ellie, why don't you start as well? I try and play with Bess's
right.
Settings.
So we come from a family that's majority United fans. So as a child, I grew up hating United because they're all quite irritating. So we started properly going to matches after COVID. Started off as match day members. Prices were already quite bad at that point. So then we started off being we'll only go to cup games then because the Prem games were ridiculous even at that point. And then it ended up escalating to the point where we ended up going to pretty much every game each season. So that was adding up. So we were oh, well, maybe we should get a season ticket then. Club weren't releasing any. There was one a few years ago, but they were oh, we'll release a certain amount of value golds. But then that was just a competition of who's got the fastest Wi-Fi. So then a lot of people missed out on that. They didn't release any the next season. And then they were oh, you can have flexi gold then. So then we were well, we want the season ticket. That apparently is the only way to get on the ladder. So that's what we ended up getting.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the justification, I remember on the email that the club sent us, was oh, the whole point of the flexi gold thing and not being able to transfer tickets is so then you don't get people reselling, that sort of thing. But then I'm in East level 1. It's supposed to be my row, and then I think the row in front that was sold as flexi gold in that window. like out of every single match I've been to, I've seen one guy more than once. Every time it's been changing. So clearly, like some sort of reasoning's going on, or people just aren't going. So whatever the club was thinking, being like, oh, Flex Gold will stop reselling, Flex Gold will bring in more fans who come to every match. Like clearly, it's not working.
So you got the flexi golds. You go to every game, and all you
Like,
want
every
is
single
just
one I can get to anyway because I'm at uni.
So are you going to be able to transfer that then into a season ticket or no?
No, because I haven't managed to make the 15.
Right. So unless you make like an actual cut off, you can't do it. So you've got to stick with the flexi gold.
Yeah, so I've got to stick with Flexi Gold. And it's like with me as well, because I'm at uni down south, like train tickets to Manchester and back. Like I think I worked out the average was like 90 quid for every single match.
Oh yeah, probably will be. It will be. So you got this flexi gold, right? So if you don't go to a game because you can't, you're studying or whatever, you don't have that ticket. So then the club's then flogging that £70, right?
Yeah, basically.
But if you had a season ticket, then you could just transfer that to a friend or family or sell it for face value, and then you'd know who it's going to as well.
Yeah, because like on Flexi Gold, you can't transfer it to anyone. It's like you
Yeah.
just hand it back to the club, and then the club do whatever they want with it.
And this is why I think it's an important point, because one of the things that people have been speaking about, is the safety issue. And this is not new. This has been going on for a long time. Yeah. If you think back to the Champions League Liverpool game many years ago, that was bad that day. And, you know, if Ellie's got a season ticket in chat, I'm speaking to the chat here. If Ellie's got a season ticket, she knows who the ticket's going to, right? But if it's a value goal, we're selling to anyone, who knows who that is? And this is where you get problems. We've seen it with, I think it was it Liverpool?
Yeah.
It was
Lower
Liverpool.
South, yeah.
Playing Liverpool. It happens at all games, right? But it's also a safety issue. I'm people need to be in a safe environment, right? And if the club is selling tickets to anyone without proper checks, you don't know who's going to be in there, and it's not good for anyone. It's not good for the City fans. It's not good for the person who's turning up with the ticket. So it's not just a money thing; it's also a safety issue.
Yeah, it happened at Arsenal. It happened at Arsenal at home as well.
Was it Arsenal? It's probably most games, isn't it?
It's like with the Clippers, free haircuts. I mean, what was all that about?
I mean, I've even got them in the stadium in the first place.
I know.
Crazy. Right, yeah. So you've got to just stick them with a flexi gold now, is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like the area, like East End Level 1 as well. Like the thing with like supposed like their version of season tickets. Well, it's not. But with like 2 rows of flexi gold there, you'd expect there to be some people who'd want to sing there, but like it is basically silent. People look at you like you're weird if you start shouting or anything. And like there's been people who turn around trying to get you to shut up, being like, oh shh. And it's like, why are you here then? Like if you don't want me to sing.
Yeah, that is wild, to be fair. All right, okay. So was there something as well with your brother that he's got to give his ticket up? Did I miss? Have I done that? Have I understood that right?
So he's managed to qualify. He's managed to get to enough games because like he's still home to upgrade to like a proper season ticket for next season. But then like since he's going to uni like next year, like he can't guarantee that he can make every game. Like especially when they start screwing around with the fixture times. Like there's been a few where I've gone, oh, I think I can go to that match, and then they've changed it last minute. And it's like, well, I can't now.
So then he'd lose it. So
it's possible that he'd just lose it straight away.
So he'd get it for a year and then he'd end up losing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's studying. And as we've seen with this Bournemouth game, we still don't know when the game's going to be played. Right. And then you've got all these night matches and stuff. Right.
And like train times as well. Like if we don't know when the match is, like if they don't set the time, then I don't know if I can actually get back like to uni or even get to the matches. And like over the last few months as well, like Avanti, they've been on strikes on Sunday, so there's been no trains like down to London.
So there could be people flexi who are literally one game away from being able to get an upgrade, and that they'll be waiting on that Bournemouth game as the game that might help them get a season ticket or not. We kind of don't know if it's going to be like, is it going to be before the cup final? Is it going to be after the cup final, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, or whatever? Or is it going to be after the end of the season? We just don't know the date, do we? And they came up with that date on a Sunday, and it was like, well, if it's not going to be Sunday, tell us the day where it's going to be. How can people they want a big send off for Kevin De Bruyne at that last home game? But again, with the prices and with the fucking about with when the game's going to be, I can see empty seats again. You know what I mean?
It is a worry. It is a and it's just I just don't understand really why have they brought this flexi gold in? What was the justification? Do we know?
So I think the club were keen on it. They did run it past City Matters, but I think some people at City Matters, believe the club and thought, oh well, we'll try to help you with a solution here. But the version that some of the guys at City Matters suggested wasn't the version that was rolled out. Certainly wasn't the charges at the start and this sort of thing. So you've got to question the motives of why it was rolled out in the first place. There's always a thing of like, oh well, we're thinking like X amount of season tickets aren't attending the games, but they need to really ask people why that is. Why is that? Not always make the games. They just assume they can. And if we're calling out people for not attending the season ticket holder, are we calling out if there's 15,000 match day tickets on sale at 70, 80 quid, but only 6,000-7,000 of them get sold? Are we then turning around and saying, oh, where are all these people that didn't turn up for the match day tickets? They don't call them out. They call out the season ticket holders, which is unfair because the season ticket holders, having a season ticket is a sign of loyalty. They want to put money in at the start of their season for the club. That's what it was always based on. You know what I mean? He was saying, I'm going to be here regardless. I'll turn up.
And of course, a lot of these people are on cup schemes as well, which, you go to the games there, you get in charge, whatever you get in charge. By the way, they've done that now with the Champions League now, because it's now you're playing the Inter Milans and that, even though it is just a group stage game, you're still getting charged a lot of money on that, aren't you? Even though it is just a group stage game. You know what I mean? Like it is wild. Okay. Yeah. No, I just never really understood the reason for, because for me, I just thought you just give people season tickets and let them transfer it to the friends and family, like always done. But now they're putting restrictions on this as well. No, they now only send it to your mate 3 times, or then you've got what's all this about? I seen this the other day again. It seems like very restrictive.
Yeah, and there's a 24-hour cutoff as well. So like if you find out say in the morning, saying with Gainer and I'm in disability, you don't know what's going to happen. If you woke up that morning and thought, oh, I'm not well enough to make it to that game, well, tough, you can't transfer your ticket.
So then it's
a shame, isn't it? There's other people. I mean, I'd gladly give my ticket away. Gladly, I'm fortunate, but I'd like to think that if I can't make it, then another blue can go on my ticket and use it for free. But that doesn't, that's going to stop, isn't it? We're not going to be able to do that.
Okay. So why are you not allowed to? So you wake up in the morning, you're not well. You go, oh, Lewis, do you want my ticket today? I say, yeah. Why can't you send me that ticket? Why are you not allowed to do that?
Well, they're changing it. I have got friends and families that I have been able to pass it on to, in the past. What I know now, it's from what I've been reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're only going to be able to have so many people on that list. Now, if then people that I have on my list are working or they're away, or then they're not going to get it,
Yeah, weird. All right, okay. Bess,
so that more tickets go back to the club that they can, they want tickets to go through. They don't want you to do face value. The city ticket exchanges are what are on Facebook and Twitter, and people selling it for face value to a blue. That's what it is. We're always going to look after each other. They don't want that. A stamp on that. But kind of legalize tickets out, isn't it? When you get the ticket and you sell it in a package, it's it's just taking the cityness out of it. That's all I can say. It's you go to the game, you don't know who you're going to be sat next to in the game. Mainly in the South Stand,
I have somebody new every week. I've got somebody there. There's two empty seats next to me, and there's always, for the last 3, 4, 5 games, there's always somebody different in the seat. And we've had the away fans there as well, and luckily for me, they've been okay, but it could have gone the other way. And it's when they're not singing and you think, are they a blue, or are they, did they support the opposition? And it's a bit worrying, because you don't know what the guy next to you is like. It could be a nutter for all I know, and kick off, and before you know it, there's trouble in the South Stand.
Well, it's like when Ellie said someone turned around and told her to shush. It's not the cinema.
The library.
There's another issue with the flexi goals as well. It's even if you was on the cup scheme for things, and theoretically you're supposed to be a season ticket holder, flexi gold season ticket, but then when you try to get tickets, when your window was supposed to open, it'd be oh no, you can't get that, and then you'd phone up the club, spend hours waiting, and then they'd be oh, there must be some sort of system issue. But I think it's because they're not registering Flexi Gold as actual season tickets. They're classing them as like members.
Yeah, which is what I thought. Like when I asked the question to Keon before, it sounded like it just a bit of like a different version of that, which is not a season ticket. For me, a season ticket is when you get a season ticket. You pay your money. Obviously, they do sometimes the installments, but you've got a guaranteed seat for every game. Obviously, you can opt in or out of the cut. That's what a season ticket is. Well, the Flexi Gold that's been described to me is not. It's a glorified match day membership, is what it sounds to me. And again, I don't fully know the details, but that's what it sounds like to me. If it's not, feel free to correct me. That's what it sounds like. It just don't make sense to me. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand. I don't really understand why it's there. Like, I don't really get the point. Like, just do the season tickets. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Can I just quickly jump in about Flexi Gold, and we talk about the safety issue in East End? What I've noticed is I believe Flexi Gold is the reason why we have a big safety issue this season and this year. I can't lie, this season is one of them seasons where the ground has felt very toxic at times because it's people, like you said, that aren't City fans in our end that celebrate and then cause aggro, cause violence, and cause people to feel on edge, families to feel on edge. People just feel like, are we at a football game here? Or are we at, somewhere else? It's very toxic, but that's what Flexi Gold's done because, like Gaynor said, someone different every time, and we all know in South Sound we're very, very much like, we're known as like we want our team to do well. So if we see someone there that's not part of our fans, you know what I mean, and someone support someone else and they start cheering, what do they expect people to do? Sit back and just let it happen? That fuels fear, violence, and aggro throughout the whole stadium. That's the big safety issue. That's what Flexi Gold has caused, in my opinion, because I think this season we saw it a lot more than when we have previous seasons, I'm being totally honest. So, yeah, for sometimes I'm at the stadium in East End and I feel a bit on edge because you never know who's sat next to you, who's up in a row. It could be a City fan, it could not be. Why do we have to live with that fear? Why does it have to happen? City caused it to happen because it is Flexi Gold. So that's why, in my opinion, probably needs to go or be changed completely.
Okay. Bess, let's try your mic.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinions.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yeah.
Really? All right.
Yeah,
okay.
perfect, yeah. Well, what's going on then with you? And Ellie obviously give us the story. What else can you add to what's going on? Maybe with the tickets and the season
Right,
tickets.
because should I start why I support City then?
Yeah, if you want, give us the intro.
Anything, yeah. Because I wanted to spend time with kids, and so before then we didn't really watch football, and so and I told them like, shall we watch football and see how it goes, and yeah, we start from cup games first, and then we all really enjoyed it, and so been hoping for get a season ticket, but like it's been few years, there's no season ticket, and my bank account clearly draining. So now we got 3 Flexi Gold, but like we need to pay 150 each before watching a game. So it's difficult for us because I'm just a postie. I don't earn fortune, so I have to like ask for to get more overtime, work my day off, etc. So it's difficult.
So
And
how
like, yeah.
Sorry, go on. Finish off. My bad. The question I was going to ask you. Sorry for interrupting you. The question I was going to ask: how many games do you think you guys have been to? Because this is like, it sounds like you've been to a lot of games, and like you've not even qualified.
Yeah. I think I just 1 or 2 game mates. So Ellie is about 14, 15, and
Yeah,
Louis is like 16.
I've been to about 14, 15 this season. Like that's what I'm going to make it to. So obviously I'm just below the cutoff.
Yeah, if I know earlier, like even like December, I will be able to make it. Like I can like ask for swap my day off and etc. But they just let us know in April, so it's too late for me to catch up like 16 game to move up. So like next season I'm going to pay 150.
Yeah, 150 quid. So you have to pay 150 quid each, and you don't even get a ticket. That's crazy.
I think there should be a way for people to move up the ladder. Like I say, with Beth and Ellie and the family started helping us with displays of last year. Beth was telling me that she got into City because the kids were doing music in Ancoats. Was it the Halle or something like that with the building? They used to look out the window and see this sea of blue all walking down to the game, and they thought, "Oh, I'd love to be part of that." And it's like, I thought it's a really romantic story where like you didn't pick the club picked you, and sometimes it's like, why do I become a City fan? And that's what I'm saying is if you've been going to most of the games over the last 4 or 5 years and still can't get a season ticket, there's something which is this is why we say in the next generation. The next generation then also then become parents themselves and bring their kids, and this is how it rolls.
Ellie's saying she's been to 14 games. She's helped out with the the flags and that, and still not allowed to to qualify for the upgrade. It's just that's just not right, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, what did you say? You there sometimes 6 hours before helping out with flags? Was it, Dante? You were saying before.
We've got a big display where we're putting out ticker tape, or sometimes we have to get in and out of the stadium. We have to be out of the stadium 3 hours before kickoff because that's when they let in we have to be clear because then letting the gates go live and like first of all the corporate people will come in and having the meals on Legends Lounge, this sort of thing. We need to be out of there because they have to count how many people are in the stadium from when the lights go green, and then 2 hours before kickoff the main turnstiles open. So if we've got a big display and sometimes we're working things out as we go along, we can be there very early or having to take half days off work and this sort of thing. So what I'm saying is sometimes somebody out there might be going, oh, well, you only got to 13, 14 games, so why should you get a season ticket? But the point is, if you are in you're supposed to be in the citizens group, there should be a way that you can get a season ticket without having to jump through loads of hoops. I mean, the people who managed to get an upgrade, absolutely brilliant, but they've had to jump through loads of hoops even to get to that stage. That shouldn't be the way that it goes from forever and a day moving forward. Should try and make it easy for fans to get in the stadium, especially when there are empty seats there. That so clearly they're not getting the balance right. So there has to be a way. Yeah.
I remember the Derby game, United game, Derby at home, and there are two United fans sit in front of me, and they're literally wearing a United hat, but nobody said anything. And after the second half, they took the half off, but still sat in front of me, and I was like, they like people around them, they noticed that, but nobody said anything.
Well, that's again, and that can be a security issue, as Keon was speaking about before. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say you will get them who are just completely fine, right? They'll sit there. Most of them won't have their club colours on, but you are going to get them. Sometimes rival fans coming in, and it causes problems. That's not.
Yeah, especially Derby. It's really bad.
No, and exactly. If United game, that should not be happening. It's too dangerous. Liverpool should not be happening. Any serious rival should not be happening. Should be happening really anyway, right? But because it's not just the top 6 clubs. Anyone could happen. But the club have to try and get on top of this. They really do. And yeah, when you could have a season ticket holder. Season ticket holders, there will be the couple of bad eggs, right? But on the whole, they're not going to sell the ticket to a United fan.
Or even if the match was lower, LB, if the match day price is lower, that City fan then snaps them up and brings the family, and it doesn't even go to open sale. Do you know what I mean? And that's where anyone join the membership scheme, and you think, well, do you know what? I think the prices are quite high. We want to get in for this one. We know it won't. Just wait a few days and then it goes to a certain criteria and you can get in, you know what I mean? And this is the other thing as well. You're paying you look at that Bournemouth game, 61 quid. Why would you buy a ticket for 61 quid? All you would do is you would wait until about 4 days beforehand when Bournemouth have returned their 2,000 tickets, and you'll be able to get a ticket in the away end, if you like, above the away end, 30 quid. Nobody's going to buy the tickets at the prices that are available at the moment. So they've basically put the prices too high because they didn't factor in what if we have a shit season. And I think what they're trying to do is for next season, they're expecting us to be running away with the league again. It's not necessarily going to happen. I hope it does happen. But even this last 4 years when we won the league, there's still been games where, they said, oh, it's full, and it's not been full. You know what I mean? So these are little things that are becoming big things. And it's not because we're only finishing 5th and we know it's nothing to do with that. These things have always been there, but the direction of travel is getting worse. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Or another thing that you could do, or you could just wait for a ticket to become available on one of these ticket pages, like the city ones, that are run by Top Blues, who are giving it out at face value or often less. I often see tickets on there. So why would you buy a ticket for 70 quid when you could get one for
Well, that's
20
right.
or 30?
You can't understand why people are not selling the tickets back to the club, and in some circumstances, because it's a last minute decision, can't get there for whatever reason. But a lot of people, what sticks in the throat is if you sell that ticket back to the club, you are then justifying a Blue having to pay 71.88 quid for the ticket because that's the price that they'll be charged. And for a lot of people, they're put off by that. So I think they would sell more tickets back to the club if the match day prices was lower. I think the club, would actually make more money by giving something back to the fans, out of ethical reasons. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. Right. So what's the next step then? So what's happening? Because I've seen this obviously on the hopefully you guys can see it. Can you guys see this on the screen? Yeah. You guys,
Yeah.
you all right, cool. Right. So you guys can see this. Chat, you should be able to see this as well. So there was a demonstration in the game against Villa outside the stadium, which looked like it was well attended. I saw a lot of clips on social media. There was the concourse, stay on the concourse protest. Was it for 11 minutes? Was it when Jack Grealish scored? What game was that?
9, mate. Yeah, 9. Leicester.
9. Right, this one's 6. So what's happening here? Can you explain to the chat, the people who maybe not know, and maybe people do go, but sort of need it reinforced? What's happening on Friday?
Yeah, so I hope people, especially overseas, can see it's not a them and us issue. It's not. This affects everybody. If you want to get to a game, you want a fair crack at getting a ticket, and also having a good atmosphere. You want to experience that is a real city atmosphere. So there's a lot of ticketing issues. So we used the Leicester game because it was the 9th reseller via GoGo. We latched on that and let the media tell the story. Stay on the concourse for 9 minutes. Don't go in the seats because, if the fans weren't there, that's the spectacle we would get. And of course, what happened was up to about 10,000 people stayed out the stadium bowl until the 9th minute. And then you got the noise, and then people could realise, well, there's the difference. And even when we scored, Jack Grealish scored, people didn't come onto the turn. Come through, onto the seats. They stayed where they was, and that's what made the story. And then a few days later, all of a sudden, we've got season ticket freeze because Abu Dhabi, they wanted this sorting out, but they're only giving us so much. So there's been no season ticket announcement so far. I am sort of hopeful that maybe something will happen, but sadly, it's the only language they kind of understand, and we've also got the City Matters meeting, which is on Friday, where they have been standing their ground with the club, saying no, come back with a better offer. And the point is, if they don't give our reps, the elected reps who had to go on strike, who had to force the club to the table, if they don't give them good news, really, then the fans will stay on the concourse again, this time for 6 minutes. And it's really to highlight kind of 6 years, really, where there's been no major amount of season tickets being made available. There has been upgrade, people who deferred the season ticket from the COVID years. And then when some of those didn't get back, maybe one or two is able to get a small window. But overall, there's been a downturn in the number of season tickets. And that's coincided with lack of segregation, more security issues in the stadium, and obviously price rises. So the thing is, people will want to look after the fellow Blues. What we're saying here is, for everybody who's got, if you've got a season ticket, you might be all right. Yeah, we've all fan groups have worked hard to get a price freeze for you. Can you do a favour for your fellow Blues, for the people here who are on flexi that can't get a season ticket? Can you help them join the ladder? What about your dad? You want to get them? What about your mum? What about your gran? What about your family? What about your grandkids? What about if your parent wants to take your children? What about a grandma wants to take the granddaughter to a game? These are sort of things that can be very difficult to do in the future if we're not careful. And at a time where we want an atmospheric ground, they're increasing the capacity. They seem to be making provision for people who've got money. They don't seem to be making a provision for people who are would happily go to a game if they could just get in. It's absolutely scandalous to have any empty seats in that stadium when we've just won the league 4 years in a row. The support was there before we were successful. See what I mean? So, so Friday, unless there's any further announcements, 6 minutes, stay on the concourse. If you're doing it, tell your friends, tell everybody else that you're doing it. Tell 5 or 10 people that you're doing it, and it makes a massive impact. You know, we say you've got the power, and if you are going to go to the stadium before, and you feel you want to go in the ground, again, no problem. But we ask you just to keep quiet, maybe for 6 minutes, because that'll go and highlights that the people that went in the stadium against Leicester, they did keep quiet for the first 9 minutes. And it was literally like, well, that just shows you it felt different, I believe, for the people that were in the stadium. It felt totally different. It felt eerie. And then obviously then it doesn't affect the team that much. We won the game, you know what I mean? And we are almost there for the Champions League qualification. So I think people can see the big picture, which is 6 minutes on Friday might secure the next 6 years because the last 6 years have been whittling away these season tickets. So that's what we'd say is 6 minutes might protect the next 6 years. So please think about doing it. It would really help.
Yeah, I'll tell you what as well. I couldn't believe just how many people did it, and I don't know like whether you thought did you expect more? Did you expect less? Was it because I couldn't believe just how many people did. I mean, when I saw the South stand, I mean, there's hardly anyone there. I was like, these guys are taking this serious.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
5,000 LB maybe sort of to do it, and I was like 9 or 10. So the thing was, we you know, obviously what was pleasing was that it was in all parts of the ground, all areas, even the Colin Bell, the second tier, the third tier. And if you're sat there and if you're Soriano, you're sat in that director's box and you've ignored fans for years and years and years, and you look around the stadium and all of a sudden on 9 minutes, you see everybody coming down the aisle all at the same time. Very powerful. And because the stewards have to check your tickets, they're coming through single file in a dignified way. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like we've made our protest. It kind of carried all around the world. The game wasn't live in England, but it was live all around the world. And all the commentators had to explain to the people what was happening. So, I mean, fans need to understand you've got power, you can use it, and it's absolutely the right thing to do. You know what I mean? I think the players get it, Pep gets it. They will understand. It'll be a moment, and nobody's going to have a go at you in the stadium. It's not. No one's going to turn around and say, "Oh, why have you missed the game?" And the people coming in are not going to say, "Why have you stayed? You're a scab." There's none of that.
Yeah, no.
Understand everyone else's position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, just do what you want. If you want to take, like I say, if you don't want to do it, you want to go in, don't sing for 6 minutes and then do it. But the more people that join in, the better. You know, we're fighting for each other again. Like, you know, we're all fans. You know, in different capacities, season ticket holders, match day members, flexi gold, international. We're all the same. We all have different views. Some of us are more positive than others. Some of us are more negative than others. But ultimately, we're all City fans. We're all the same. You know what I mean? And we're in the same position. They're the ones that are going to be charging the money. And they're the ones that are stopping people from getting season tickets and stuff. So, you know, it's
loads of respect from other fans over this. You know, City fans, you get these dickheads, you know, these Paddy Powers and people on Twitter who don't even go to games of, oh, City fans are shit, City fans are plastic. Absolutely, you know, you couldn't have the further from the truth. But other groups, like the Villa fans, you know, they're having to charge £97 for a Champions League game and stuff. Reason our fans aren't there as them is because we've already started to get organised and pushed back. So we're not going to win every single battle, but we do think we can slow it down, which allows people time to sort of, you know, still keep going to the games, and then eventually there might be a change of person at the club and someone else comes in who treats the fans a bit better. Do you see what I mean? So we can slow things down. We can't win every battle, but the reason that it's not even worse is because fans have got together and done stuff already. And it doesn't matter if other fans aren't doing it the same as we are. We'll do it because we're doing it for ourselves, and other fans will start copying because they see, well, fucking hell, look at City. They're doing it right. They've got success. We'll do it too.
Yeah, spot on. Christo said, club don't want season ticket holders because ground's always half empty. Season tickets holders who don't go are to blame. Sorry, but that's part of the reality. I just think that's massively overdone though, Christo. There will be some fans that don't turn up, but it's few and far between, mate, because you're not paying for a season ticket and not turning up. Otherwise, why would you have one? Do you know what I mean?
Holders who can't go. We've discussed that tonight. But when you can't go, the ticket is not getting sold because the price is too high, and I think that's part of the problem. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, that's spot on. Every game would be sold out at that stadium if it was legit price. Even if it was playing like a team in non-league, that's just the truth. That's just the facts. You know what I mean? You know, people like my dad would rather. My dad says to me, he'd rather watch City versus Burnley on a Saturday than Real Madrid versus City. Like, my dad's there. People like that are ready to go to these games, but he ain't paying 50, 60, 70 quid. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the truth, man. And if he's not going to pay it, who's paying it? And that's why it's not full. Because people are not paying 60 quid to go and watch Bournemouth at home.
Important, LB, why it's important is because if they don't bring any new season tickets in, and we've only got 30,000 out of 60,000, you're not far off. A majority of people who want to watch City in the home end are having to pay the silly prices. And that means that at the end of the day, a very short term of thinking. And then you look around at how many people your mates used to go 5-10 years ago. Now they can't go. And now you think, well, in 5-10 years' time, who's going to be able to go then as well? We know there's going to be like new fans want to get involved, but even they won't be able to afford to come all the time. That's the whole point. It's almost like it's no problem selling it out against Real Madrid or Barcelona, but when it's Bournemouth or Wolves, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
different there.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we like 3 of us, like match day members, like watch like for a few years. It did cost a lot. We can't go on holiday because like we wanted to watch City games, but just too much.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you know what I mean. That's just crazy. You know what I mean. these are fans that are sacrificing a holiday or whatever to get to City, and they can't even get season ticket. It's just crazy, man. That's just wild to me. You know what I mean? If City watching this, come on, guys. You know what I mean? You got to do something here. Again, I don't think anyone's asking for the 8,000 fans in the stadium in that new wall to be season ticket holders. It would be great. And maybe you do ask, right? Maybe that's your starting point. I don't know how do you do negotiations, but come on, man. Let's do something here. Listen, we're gonna have to wrap it up because I've got another stream to do. But honestly, it's been great having you guys on. I'm sure the chat have been well engaged throughout the whole thing. I do get so many comments on this channel about I think it's like 40% of the people that watch this channel are not from the UK. So they're always asking in the chat. They're always asking about the empty seats. They're asking about atmospheres. They're asking about stuff. Well, these streams are a great way of connecting fans that are going week in, week out, and fans that are trying to go week in, week out, with fans that are maybe going to fly over. You know what I mean? You have Rajiv in the chat before, spent all this money on flying over, and they've moved the game. Do you know what I mean? It's like you get stuff like this, and we're all fighting. This is what I'm saying. No matter what type of fan you are, we're all on the same side here. We're just fighting different little battles. But listen, it's been great having you on, honestly. Are you doing any other shows, Dan?
But not me. We've got Big Steve's got a few of the guys on tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. And then obviously straight into the game on the concourse on
Right.
I've finished your pint. Anytime finish your pint, going after 6 minutes, and let's hope we get some results out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And is it We Are 894 that are doing that Kevin De Bruyne TIFO thing?
Yes, us and City on Tour, Felix's group. So basically, we are. We only put it out midnight last night. We had over 10 grand in already today. We're having a meeting with the club tomorrow just to see what we can do, because the club had their own plans, but now we've got some ideas. It really, I know some people say, why is it not about City full stop? But a lot of people wanted it to be done for KDB at Wembley because it was like a big send off, and the club are doing something at the Bournemouth game anyway. So they said, you do something at Wembley, we'll stand aside, but then we'll do it for the Bournemouth game. So we've got some ideas, and hopefully it'll be a great send off. Hopefully he plays.
Yeah. Surely he's going to play. Surely he's going to play.
If you want to look at our 894 Twitter feed, the link is there. But like I say, we've probably, we're waiting on some quotes for prices and stuff. But we've certainly exceeded what we thought we'd get in. So thank you to the City fans everywhere. Absolutely brilliant. It shows you that we are being backed, we are supported, and we are trusted. So cheers.
Yeah, no, brilliant. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Chat, we're going to go watch the AC Milan game on a second channel, redirect you over there. Smash a like, and as always, if you do have any comments, whack them in the chat. You know what I mean? If I see anything that I don't know myself, I can send it to Dan, I can send it to whoever, you know, the representatives, man. Feel free to get in there, you know what I mean, and ask the questions. And there's loads of shows going on at the moment, so it's not just this channel. You know where the channels are. But honestly, big up to Keon, big up to Dan, Gaynor, Ellie, and Bess. Really appreciate you having you on. And yeah, chat, we'll see you in the next one. See you later.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lance.